Made in Italy by a legendary espresso machine maker, the Gaggia Classic GT will change your coffee game. Featuring unique low-flow automatic and manual pre-infusion, 6-minute heat up, volume programmable brewing, non-stop steam, custom high-end components, 2 pumps, and more features you won't find anywhere else. This is the ultimate classic. Hey, espresso lovers, Marc here from Whole Latte Love with the all-new Classic GT, the first ever true dual boiler espresso machine from Gaggia. I gotta tell you, this is a really exciting achievement for the brand. It's a best value dual boiler that doesn't skimp on features or build quality. 100% made in Italy, the GT is loaded with features you're gonna love. It's got 2 PID regulated boilers, time of day turn on programming, super fast heat up, externally adjustable brew pressure, and some seriously consistent extraction temperatures. It also has super unique low flow pre-infusion capabilities that run based on your coffee's roast level, or you can do that manually. You get soft, active wetting of the puck at 3 grams per second, as well as a soak time for full saturation if that's what you want. Powerful steaming vigorously swirls milk silky smooth for latte art perfection. Beyond that, it has a 3-year warranty and US-based tech support from our experts should you ever need it. You're definitely going to want to stick around and see this. So the Gaggia Classic GT really is a great machine for the whole family. You know, maybe you've got one espresso geek in the house who uses scales and measures every single detail, but others, just want to pull a quick shot for a latte without the hassle. With the GT, you can program the volume of espresso brewed, so less experienced users don't need a scale or have to guess the amount of coffee they've made by eyeballing the crema. And the exclusive hot water function is, well, really cool. It dispenses without all the steam you get from the taps of most espresso machines. It's wonderful for Americanos, tea, anytime you need hot water without a hissing mess. But really, that's just the start. The brew boiler, it's easy to drain and it's loaded with custom-built components you normally only find in high-end gear. A premium steam valve, precision externally adjustable OPV, and even a height adjustable drip tray. Oh, and did I mention the 2 pumps? One for brewing and the other fills the steam boiler. With sound isolating rubber mounts, it's a quiet operator similar to the original Gaggia Classic, and it all runs on a Gaggia custom designed control board. I think Gaggia really nailed all this stuff. This isn't just an upgrade, the GT really is the ultimate Gaggia Classic. So stick around, I'm going to show you why the GT belongs in your kitchen. For decades, the original Classic has been the definitive best value in entry-level espresso machines, with tens of thousands of users worldwide and a lively online community of enthusiasts. Whether you're a Classic lover ready to level up or you're just looking for the best value dual boiler espresso machine around, the GT here, yeah, you're gonna find out it is the real deal. So coming up, I've got a full breakdown of what the GT is truly capable of. I'll go in depth on its unique features like pre-infusion capabilities and how to use them, cover the GT's controls and settings, and share performance testing results for heat up time, brew temperature accuracy, and multi-shot stability using real-world in-puck measurements and check steaming performance. Plus, channel favorite Todd, he's going to join me for a detailed look at the internal build of the GT. Plus, I'll cover all the accessories and equipment you'll find in the box, as well as a few extras I'd recommend picking up, and we'll take a look at some basic routine maintenance. So compared to your traditional E61 group dual boilers, the Classic GT is pretty compact. It's just over 10 inches wide, about 16.5 inches deep, and under 17 inches high. Wrapped in a thick single-piece steel housing, it's really solid. A removable 2-liter water reservoir gives you ample water for consistent brewing. Up top, the GT features a large screen with capacitive touch control. The display height is 4 feet 4 inches off the floor when the machine is on a standard 36-inch high counter. It's one of the most intuitive displays I've used on any semi-automatic machine. Gaggia did a really nice job with this. It's big, clear, and super easy to read, and I really like how it shows you both the program temperature and the current temp while heating. The interface is going to give you full access to the GT's extensive programming options, including time of day turn on, settings for pre-infusion, and much more, which we're going to get to in just a bit. Now up front, a suite of toggle switches in order they power the machine on. operate manual pre-infusion, initiate brewing, dispense hot water, and switch between heating the boiler for steaming or running in hot water mode. Each is surrounded by an indicator light. The brew pressure gauge is front and center, easy to monitor during extraction. The drip tray on the Classic GT is versatile. In its default configuration, you get a healthy 4.5 inches of clearance, plenty of room for a scale or to brew directly into big cups for drinks like Americanos, my favorites, or larger lattes. When brewing straight shots, slide the drip tray out and raise it up to reduce distance between the spouts and the espresso cup. The decompression duct, that's telescopic, so you can adjust it based on the tray's position. On the right, the steam valve and fully articulated single-hole steam wand, plus access to that adjustable OPV. That's a feature I absolutely love and don't see often enough, even in prosumer-grade machines. You know, some people really do like playing with that brew pressure, and this setup makes doing that super easy. To adjust pressure, just pop in the back flush disc, attach the portafilter, and press the brew switch. Watching the gauge, each half turn changes brew pressure by about 1 bar. Now, the espresso standard, of course, that's 9 bar, but you can go as low as 3 bar and all the way up to 15. If you like to experiment like me, that pressure range is huge, really about the most range I've ever seen on a machine. As we'll see when we get under the hood, that brew pressure is measured at the tail end of the hydraulic system, very close to the portafilter. Most machines measure at the other end, very close to the pump, and measuring closer to the brew point, that's going to give you a far more accurate reading. Internally, the GT is powered by a 3.68 ounce lead-free brass brew boiler and a 0.9 liter stainless steel steam boiler, each of those regulated by PID. You can set brew temperatures in precise degree-by-degree increments, while the steam boiler has 4 presets to increase or decrease steam pressure. The steam boiler also has a clever feature I've yet to see on any dual boiler machine. You can turn off steam mode and run the boiler at a lower temperature, so you can still dispense hot water, but with the lower temperature, that water is going to come out with all that messy splashing and excess steam you'd get on other machines. I do make a lot of Americanos, so I love this. It really cleans up the process. On most other dual boilers, you can only turn the steam boiler off entirely to save energy, and when off, you're not going to be able to dispense hot water. The GT heats up fast. In about 6 minutes, it's ready to brew, and it's ready to steam milk 3 minutes later, and as far as I know, it's the fastest true dual boiler warm-up time out there. Of course, you can always program it to turn on in advance, but if you need an espresso out of the blue, the GT is not going to be holding you back. I really like Gaggia's new portafilter design for the GT. It's standard size at 58 millimeters, of course, weighs a little over a pound, and it's made of stainless steel with an ergonomic design that fits well in the hand. And I like that thumb indent there. The handle, it stays cool, and that thumb spot just a little bit warmer. While not what I'd call an angled portafilter, it does rest on the counter, and then the filter basket presents parallel to the counter surface for easier level tamping. There are 5 toggle switches across the front of the machine. To turn on the machine, push and release the power toggle on the far left side for about 1 second. Next is the pre-infusion toggle. Press and release it to turn automatic pre-infusion on or off. When lit, automatic pre-infusion is on, and pressing the brew toggle starts brewing using the programmed light, medium, or dark pre-infusion setting. More on those coming up. Once you have the amount of coffee you want, push and release the brew toggle to stop brewing. To use manual pre-infusion mode, push and hold that toggle. The pump activates at a reduced flow rate of around 3 grams per second. When you release it, the pump stops and the soaking phase begins. Now, after you've hit your desired soak time, push and release the brew toggle. The pump starts and standard brewing begins. When you've reached the desired amount in your cup, push and release the brew toggle to stop the extraction. If the light around the steam toggle is illuminated, you are in steam mode. Pushing the toggle turns off the steam light and turns on the hot water light. Then the boiler is going to cool down to about 235 degrees when you do that. That's going to take a few minutes if the machine was already warmed up and in steam mode. Now, this is a really unique feature found only on the Classic GT. You can see in this comparison, it reduces the amount of steam mixed with hot water. If the machine enters eco mode, which shuts down the steam boiler, push and release the steam switch to reactivate and heat up the steam boiler. Settings are accessed via that large upward-facing display. Those symbols are really clear and intuitive, navigation simple. The main display shows the current brew boiler temperature setting and current boiler temperature when it's heating. Press the plus and minus buttons to adjust brew temperature, anywhere from 176 to 212 Fahrenheit. Pressing the gear icon enters the settings menu. Then touch plus and minus to scroll through the options there. The check mark enters a menu and confirms selections, and the arrow there takes you back. Pre-infusion, that can be set to one of 3 levels, optimized for light, medium, or dark roasted coffees. Next is the wake up timer, which has 2 submenus. One sets the time of day, and the other sets your desired turn on time. From there, you've got standby mode, which turns the machine off after a specified period of inactivity, and eco mode, which shuts off the steam boiler to conserve power. Lastly, you've got menus for button sound toggling, temperature unit selection, and the steam boiler temperature settable to 248, 257, 266, or 275 degrees, depending on how much steam power you want. When you see that dot in the upper left corner there, that indicates that the wake up timer is active, so you're going to know that the machine is going to turn on every day at the time you've set. If there's a leaf symbol in the lower left, eco mode is on and the steam boiler is off. If no leaf symbol and no boiler symbol in the lower right, then the machine is in hot water mode. The brew toggle is used to start and stop an extraction. You can also program an automatic volumetric brew recipe. To do that, use manual brewing first and dial in your grind size to produce a shot you like. General baseline there is a 1-to-2 brew ratio produced in 25 to 30 seconds. Once you have that, you can program a volume. With coffee in a portafilter, press and hold the brew toggle until you hear the pump activate and the word preset appears on the control panel screen. For example, I'm doing a fairly standard espresso extraction using that 1-to-2 weight ratio of ground coffee to finished espresso in my cup. My ground coffee dose was 18 grams, so I'm going to stop the extraction just a couple grams short of the 36 grams to allow for a couple grams of drip off. When I reach the target weight, I press the brew toggle again and the pump stops. The GT is going to store that volume and the word preset remains on the screen. Next time I press the brew toggle, I'll get a measured shot of espresso within a few grams of that. Now that works great for cappuccinos and lattes, but if you want to be perfectly precise, use manual brewing. To return to manual brewing, simultaneously press and hold the pre-infusion and brew toggles until the word preset disappears from the screen. To use the preset again, press and hold the 2 toggles until the word preset reappears on the screen. The GT stores the preset volume until it is reprogrammed. So what makes the Classic GT's pre-infusion special? Well, unlike other dual boiler machines in the same price class, some of which have button menus so confusing they should come with a decoder ring, the GT keeps things simple, and that's a good thing because nobody wants to play guess the function before they're pulling a shot. I know I don't want to. On the Classic GT, you've got 3 automatic pre-infusion presets, plus a manual pre-infusion mode with individual timers for the low flow and soak phases and an unrestricted low flow rate averaging about 3 grams per second for the medium and light presets and manual mode. To check flow rates, I used a scale connected to the Press Sensor logging app and measured flow rates for pre-infusion and regular brewing. The pre-infusion average came in at just under 3 grams per second, while the flow rate during normal brewing was a little over 7 grams per second. When using pre-infusion, a real-time display shows low flow time, soak time, and shot time. It's basically pre-infusion for the rest of us humans. To use the automatic pre-infusion, press the touchscreen to go into the settings and pick from one of those 3 presets based on your coffee's roast level and density. Dark, medium, or light. Turn on pre-infusion, flip the brew switch, and the GT is going to take it all from there. So the timings I'll discuss here apply only to GTs shipping in the US and Canada for now, but that could change. Use the dark preset for, you guessed it, dark roast or coffees that are maybe a little past their prime. The sole purpose here is to prevent channeling without changing the basic extraction. Pump's gonna kick on for 2 seconds, then pauses for 1. That brief flow with no pressure wets the top of the puck only with about 6 grams of water and helps prevent channeling before the full flow and pressure build for the extraction. This setting will not over-extract dark roasts and reduces stale flavors in older coffees. The medium preset is perfect for, well, surprise, most medium roasts. Here the pump runs for 8 seconds at an average unrestricted flow rate of about 3 grams per second, then pauses for a 3-second soak before full extraction. It's going to be ideal for most medium density coffees. At this pre-infusion setting, the goal is to fully saturate the puck. Doing that helps to balance out acids that extract easily by extracting more sugars, oils, and solids. Doing this brings more balance to the taste experience. If you use a medium pre-infusion setting and the puck is not fully saturating, then you might want to move up to the light setting. Now, it's easy to check for full saturation using a naked portafilter and a shot mirror if you don't like bending over. When espresso just starts to appear, you have full saturation of the puck. The light setting is the one to use if you did not get full puck saturation of a medium or light roast coffee at the medium setting. It increases the pump on time to 12 seconds, again at that unrestricted average flow rate of about 3 grams per second before a 3-second soak. Now, if you know your coffee is a higher altitude, light roast, single origin with higher density, you might just start at this pre-infusion preset. Like the medium setting, the goal again is to fully saturate the puck to help extract more sugars, oils, and solids to balance out the taste experience compared to the acids which extract easily without pre-infusion. It really helps to reduce that bright acidity that's common in very fresh from roast coffees, and once again, it's going to help reduce channeling. For full control, manual pre-infusion of timing, that's the way to go. On the GT, it's instantly accessible with no menu diving. Just press and hold the pre-infusion switch. You get up to 30 seconds of low flow, followed by up to 30 seconds of soak before you start your full extraction by toggling the brew switch. It's my favorite way to use pre-infusion on a GT. I use this a lot with very fresh, high-altitude single origins. I'm going to let that low flow run until I see the first drops push through the basket in a naked portafilter. And usually it happens somewhere between 12 and 15 seconds when using very dense coffees. When that happens, I'm usually seeing about 3 bar on the brew pressure gauge. And I pause for a few seconds, hit the brew switch, and boom, a beautiful and tasty extraction. Now, if you're not seeing full saturation at 15 seconds, it might be an indication that your grind is too fine. Now, what's totally awesome and very useful is the GT's display showing timing for all 3 phases when you're using manual pre-infusion. So you'll see the low flow, soak, and shot time. You're gonna know exactly what you did, which means you can actually repeat it when you nail that perfect shot. Imagine that. But do feel free to experiment and always taste the coffee and decide what tastes best for you. For a visual look at how the different pre-infusion settings act on the coffee puck, I knocked a puck out from each one. As you can see, the dark preset gets just the top of the puck. The medium fully saturates, for the most part, a typical medium roast coffee, and the light setting fully saturates a denser light roast coffee. But what happens if you are grinding way too fine with a denser coffee? Can the pre-infusion totally saturate the coffee puck? Well, let's take a look as I'm gonna pull 2 shots here, one without pre-infusion that goes super long, and one with a full puck saturation pre-infusion using the same grind size. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do I got a really tight grind here, so get a really long extraction, then I'm gonna do with some pre-infusion, a long 3 gram per second pre-infusion. We're gonna see that we can totally soak the puck probably when we do that. Well, not probably, we will. We got a shot mirror here. You'll be able to see the pressure gauge. The timing up here, you should be able to see using Adam W65 grind by weight grinder. The coffee we'll be using, this is an Ethiopia Limu. It's pretty dense. It's 1,700 meters average elevation, single origin here. Here's those beans. You can take a look at it. You see a lot of smaller beans in there. So a pretty dense coffee. So let's grind that. Let me wipe out my portafilter here. And we're gonna do 18 gram dose. We'll do a 1:2 ratio with this. And I'll have the scale down here so you can see the weights. You'll be looking for right around 36 grams out. I do like this grinder, by the way. So I'm gonna use these Bravo tools here. We're gonna keep everything consistent as possible. So I like that like these for that. Let's spin 3 that way, 3 this way. And give it a push stamp. And Again, this first one is going to be a totally normal extraction, no pre-infusion. Should run really long. I do have the grind tight. And we'll tear it. Scales tear it out. Okay. And again, this grind's really tight. Just starting to come through a little bit. Got a drip there at about 12 seconds. It's going to take a while. Wouldn't surprise me if we're at like 50 seconds-ish here. Starting to find its way through. And this grind is way too fine. I'm going to try and cut it, you know, right around 34. So you end up with 36 here. For 36 seconds. Yeah, 18 grams at 42. Yeah, this one's running along. This grind is too tight. 48 seconds. Ready to cut this. We are at 9 bar. And cut it there. Round up. Yeah, just a hair short. 35.21. Now, with that really long extraction here, we may have some hang up here. We'll see. It's been my experience. No, we're fine. Okay. That'll wipe out and dry. And again, now I haven't changed the grind at all, so the grind is way too tight. Just want to show you, even with a tight grind, with a 3 gram per second pre-infusion, you are going to be able to get the puck fully saturated. Go for that 18 grams again. Save that. Now we do suggest, I'll show you that in a minute. You don't have to, but we do suggest a short little flush. And you know, part of the reason for doing this video here is I did come across a video where I don't know what was going on, but who's ever using this machine with the low flow pre-infusion was not able to get a full saturation of the puck. I do every single time. I don't know if they were using the machine wrong or something else was up, but I'm going to show you. So exact same grind, and now we do suggest, if you're going to use the pre-infusion, the low flow pre-infusion, you know, again, you don't have to do this. Just give it a quick little flush to make sure the water, that's all you got to do. You saw my other video, you know this machine is incredibly temperature consistent. All right, so here we go. So keep an eye on the shop mirror. And so you can press this and hold to get our long pre-infusion. There it goes. You can hear the difference maybe in the pump there. We're doing 3 grams per second. In my experience, it's been coming through at about 15. Keep an eye on that. There it is. Right at 15. Now I'm going to go to the regular infusion. Saw the drip there. You saw it come through the bottom of the portafilter. Looking good. We'll take this to the same, right about 36 grams. Technically, it says our pre-infusion was 16 seconds with a 2-second passive phase before we started the shot. Get ready to close that. We're at 9 bar. And little late there, but the extraction time on that was 23 seconds. I do want to give these a taste. We'll start with the extra long one, which is likely going to be, yeah, a little over extracted. And I'll try this one here. This is a pretty fresh from roast coffee here. Oh yeah, that one is nice. This is the one I would do. You know, we always taste them all, so you know what we're getting. And I don't know if you noticed, you know, like during the pre-infusion itself, you did see the pressure come up in the portafilter by the gauge here. So there you have it. Even with that super tight grind, you are going to be able to fully infuse a puck. So next up, I've got detailed results for brew temperature testing using in-puck temperatures during a series of actual extractions. We're going to find out how accurate they are to the PID setting and how quickly you can pull extractions back to back and maintain consistent temperatures. I'll have results for milk steaming times, water added during steaming, and recovery after steaming, plus find out how long that steam can last. We'll also look at the cup warming surface temps and more. But some basics first. The Classic GT is rated at 1400 watts. It uses a 15 bar pump. Actual brew pressure is controlled by an externally adjustable OPV. Now, Of course, most users are going to want to set that to 9 bar, but you can pop in the included backflush disc, use a screwdriver to quickly adjust higher or lower as you like. When you turn the machine on from cold, it's going to be ready to brew in about 6 minutes and ready to steam milk about 3 minutes later. A couple of notes on that. The machine does have a fast heating cycle, so if you're going to pull a shot 6 minutes after turn on, you're going to want to give it a 3 to 5 second flush before pulling a shot. Pull a shot at 10 minutes after turn on, no flush is going to be needed as the machine will have stabilized from the initial quick heat up. If you always want to walk up to the machine and brew, use the time of day turn on so it's going to be heated up and ready to go for you. I check sound level by placing a dB meter at ear level at an operational distance from the machine. Here's a few seconds of sound from pre-infusion and regular brewing. Sound level during pre-infusion averaged 53.8 decibels with a max of 55.5. Regular brewing came in at an average of 60.3 and a max of 61. For reference, 60 decibels is similar to the loudness of a normal conversation. So I did 2 series of 10 extractions using a K-type temp probe mounted into a stock Gaggia filter basket. This measures the actual temperatures within a coffee puck during a real extraction. I used a 1:2 ratio with 15 grams in, so 30 grams of espresso out. Shot timing average just under 30 seconds. The temp data there is going to be logged at 1 second intervals. Temperatures I'll report here are the average of log temps during each extraction. The brew temp setting for all 20 tests was 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Here are the results of the first series, pulled with no flushing at about 2.5 minute intervals, beginning about 5 minutes after turning the machine on. Now that first shot is hot, as I mentioned. If you're gonna do an extraction that soon after turning the machine on, you're gonna wanna do a short flush first. After that, 5 shots in a row with all but one of them within a degree of the 200 set brew temp. Honestly, this is remarkable performance for a series of shots at 2.5 minute intervals. On the last 4 shots, temps did drop as I tested the thermal reserve of the brass boiler and group head, but that pace of use is really highly unlikely for this type of machine. For the second set of 10, I turned the machine on 20 minutes before use, what you might do if using that automatic time of day turn on. 15 minutes after turn on, I did 3 extractions as I dialed in a coffee. About 6 minutes later, I started the series of 10 test shots. For these, I varied interval times a bit. Again, no flushes were used during any of the testing. As you can see, the first 6 shots with interval times ranging from 3.5 to about 8 minutes were nearly perfect. To me, this sequence replicates a more typical home use pattern. I shortened the intervals for the last 4 tests to about 2 minutes. Here, temps, they dropped a bit, but I have to say pulling shots at an interval of 2 minutes from the end of one to the start of the next after already doing 6 in a row is way outside a normal use case scenario. Bottom line, in my testing, the Classic GT is capable of 6 near-perfect brew temp shots back-to-back with no flushing needed at intervals as low as 2.5 minutes. Now, I've reported the interval times and average temps here. If you'd like to see the full second-by-second results and uninterrupted video of the test, there's a link for those down in this video's description. To measure steaming performance, I used our standard test based on the SCA method, timing how long it takes to froth 5 ounces of fridge temp milk to higher than 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 60 Celsius. I did the test 4 times, and along with that, I also measured how much water by weight was added during the steaming. The average time for steaming across the 4 tests was right around 20 seconds, and water added by weight was about 13 grams. That's about 9%. Both of those really are excellent results, with steaming times just a few seconds longer than some of the best performing prosumer level machines, and water added of below 10% is as good or better than well-regarded machines I've tested. The GT steam, it is powerful and dry. So when I was doing those steam tests, I want to take a look at recovery times. That is how long the machine takes to get back to full steaming power, but it really wasn't necessary. Recovery is essentially instant with that large steam boiler. For fun, I opened up a steam valve and let it rip for 5 minutes, and there was no observable change in steam power. The boiler even added water a couple times during the 5 minutes with no visible change in the steam velocity. looking like you could pretty much steam indefinitely with no loss of performance on the GT. I do like the single hole steam tip. People have preferences, of course, on hole counts, but for me, the single hole tip allows you to easily find an angle that introduces a vigorous roll and produces a fine latte art quality microfoam. And with the right pitcher size, milk amount, and wand angle, it's possible to froth hands-free right on the drip tray. The cup warming surface is very warm, so if you like a hot cup, the GT has the numbers, reaching near 140 degrees, that's 60 Celsius, and an ambient temp of 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
I want to show you the inside of the Classic GT. There's a lot of special features on this machine that give it its uniqueness. And one is the control board here, specially designed for Gaggia. This is not like on the other manufacturers. Very powerful, allows you to get all the programmable features that the Classic GT has. Over here, we have the steam valve, custom made, custom forged for Gaggia and designed. The whole design is brand new, very smooth. And when you get it out, it's easy to get in here and replace the seal in case you have to. It's a sprung valve, very high quality. Here's the OPV, again, custom made for Gaggia. Very fine threads here, so your adjustment is really nice. And inside of here, we have the valve seat, again, easy to get at and replace. Over here, we have the steam wand. Inside the steam wand has this, I call it a slider, that fits on this ball here. So it lasts a lot longer than the Teflon ones. I like this a lot. A lot of machines will have the Teflon. So getting inside the machine, let's take a look at how the water flow is, and that'll give you an idea how the whole thing works. So water comes out of the reservoir through this tube into a T. The T, when it goes that way, goes over to the steam pump. Yes, there's two pumps for this machine. And this one here goes through the flow meter, then up into the pump for the brewing cycle. And then it comes out of the pump through the OPV, then up into the base of the boiler. Now in the front here, there's your brass boiler. This here is where the gauge hooks onto here for the front of the machine. So you're getting your pressure directly from the boiler, not from down where the pump is. So you get really accurate boiler pressure. Here's a solenoid valve for your hot water dispensing. And then over here we have a T. Now this T leads down to the blow-off tube, and leading into it we have water from the three-way solenoid valve and water coming from the safety valve. The safety valve is to blow. It will go down through here into the drip tray. Over here we have the vacuum leaf valve, and that comes down over here just to the side of the steam boiler. Now the heating elements on the boiler are on the brew boiler are really nice because they're embedded into the brass. They never burn out. We never have a problem with burning heating elements on these because they're not in the water. And so if you want low on the water in the boiler, it's still not going to hurt the heating element. You got your high limits there. And over here, we'll look down, and there's the pump for your steam boiler. These are your two high limits for the steam boiler. This is actually the temperature sensor for the hot water of the steam boiler, because there's a hot water and a steam setting. This is for controls the hot water. And up here on top of the boiler, there's your temperature sensor for the steam setting in the steam boiler. Two heating elements. Here's for your boiler fill that helps control the level of the water in the boiler itself. You notice the frame, very strong, very heavy duty, very thick. Again, very well made. And the steam boiler is one that Gaggia uses, we really like. It's a little different than the ones on the other brands, but it's designed to fit in here perfectly. So engineers did a great job in choosing that boiler, very happy with it. And that's the basics of the internals. So one of the things that I really like about the Classic GT is the way that the power is shared between the boilers. I've been involved in espresso machine design and helping manufacturers for like 25 years. And this is the nicest I've seen. I'm gonna give you an example here. So I'm turning the machine on. It's gonna power up. Now I have two amp meters here. This one tells you the amps being drawn for the brew boiler. This one being drawn for the steam boiler. So right away we start at 10.7 amps. So all the power is going directly to the brew boiler. After a little while, what you'll find is that, okay, it's got a good quick heat up here, then it's gonna start sending power over the steam boiler. So now it's alternating power in between the two so they can both heat up quickly. Because of the small brew boiler and that's got all the brass on it, it'll hold the heat well. This works out. So what I'm gonna do is take this one off here and show you that the total draw for the machine is about 11.16 amps, but it's alternating between the two. And the way this works out with the machine is it's balanced, it heats quick, incredible steam power, great temperature stability. The Gaggia engineers did an incredible job with this.
Out of the box, the Classic GT comes with an 11-gram single and 18-gram double shot filter basket, as well as a back flush disc and a nice Gaggia logo stainless steel tamper with a real wood handle. For maintenance, Gaggia recommends back flushing once a month, so pick up a product like Ernex Cafezza or some of their coffee clean tablets. Both those products can be used for cleaning portafilters and filter baskets as well. Preventing lime scale is very important in all dual boiler machines. Use only water that's been softened to reduce calcium. We recommend products from BWT Water & More, including their in-reservoir and pitcher-based options. Use those as directed and you'll have the mineral level needed for great flavor, removal of chlorination, and you will have no scale deposits. Of course, great espresso starts with quality whole beans ground fresh. The Gaggia MDF 55 is an espresso-focused 55mm flat burr grinder, which pairs well with the GT. High-end brewing of specialty grade single origin coffees is enhanced with the GT's precision brew temp control and pre-infusion capabilities. A serious grinder with 83mm burrs like Chiato's E37S Quickset can help take full advantage of the GT's advanced features. Those big Opal Glide specialty burrs are designed for flavor and paired with a 500-watt motor have no problem creating beautiful fluffy grind from denser light roasted specialty grade coffees. It's what our staff espresso geeks consider an end game grinder and the reference grinder I use in a lot of my testing. For whole bean coffees, check out our own locally roasted single origins and more traditional Italian style blends as well. For consistent brewing, you're going to want an espresso scale. The Varia Accu series are excellent choices with mini, standard, and pro models to cover those doing just espresso or maybe used for other brew methods as well. To dress up your setup, why not get naked with a bottomless portafilter? They're available in a variety of custom wood options. You know, naked shots are not only beautiful, but they can help you improve your technique. And if you don't already have them, don't forget accessories like a frothing pitcher and knockbox. Now, if you're gonna pick up a GT, know we have you covered with links down in the description to a detailed setup and training video, plus another video that takes you step by step through basic maintenance like cleaning, back flushing, boiler draining, housing removal, and more. You know, the Gaggia Classic GT is more than just a landmark achievement for a company that's been designing industry-defining espresso equipment for nearly a century. It is the most accessible dual boiler around, both in terms of price, ease of use, and capabilities. The extensive feature set includes the time of day turn on, a quick heat up, low flow, manual and automatic pre-infusion modes, those super accurate brew temps, excellent steaming performance, and the list goes on. Now, if you're familiar with the single boiler Gaggia Classic, maybe you're considering an upgrade to the dual boiler Classic GT, and maybe you're looking for a way to justify or rationalize what is a fairly significant price difference between the two. First, I'll just say, you know, compared to other dual boiler machines, the GT has a very attractive price. In the US, it's hundreds less than the Sylvia Pro X and around the same price as the Lilith Elizabeth. And there's no doubt it exceeds both those machines in performance and capabilities with more powerful pre-infusion features, volumetric programming, time of day turn on, and more. You know, for where I'm standing at GT here, Gaggia nailed it. It's a home run. They've succeeded in making their mark on the dual boiler landscape. You know, as always, if you've got questions on the Gaggia Classic GT or anything coffee and espresso related, use those comments and I'd be happy to get you a detailed answer. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark, and if you love coffee and espresso as much as I do, be sure to subscribe to the channel and enable those notifications so you don't miss out on more of the best on everything coffee, brought to you by Whole Latte Love.